Alrighty, welcome to the Harwich Housing Committee meeting of August 27th, 2024. Unfortunately, Mary Ann is leaving the committee. She's had some health issues, so she needs to take care of herself for a while. And so think about someone, if you think of anybody you'd like to have join the committee, tell them to, put in an application with the select board.
Did they have any extra? Did they have anyone that they didn't select the last go around? Or?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out.
Question.
But so anyway, if you know anybody,
Okay.
suggest they go. I'm very sad to lose Mary Ann, but she's just too busy right now. Okay, so second thing, I realized I fixed all the meetings and got all the dates correct, but I didn't put it on the agenda correctly still. So we can't vote on minutes until it's correct, until the dates are correct on the agenda.
Okay.
So I screwed that up again. Sorry. All right, so now what we should have done in June is welcome to the new year of the Housing Committee. We need to pick a chair, vice chair, and clerk. So I don't know, anybody want to volunteer for any of those positions?
Nope. Well, I'm going to make a little short speech. I'm going to take myself out of the running because I had been the chair for 10 years. And I was told that that's not kosher. That's a good, I'll use that term.
Okay.
They want to, turn, and I said, well, the problem was, every year I come up, I bring it up, and I turn around.
Am I doing it right?
Everyone's running to the door.
Meeting start already or no?
Yeah.
It started?
Yeah. Am I right? That's recording and that's on. Thank you.
Yeah, you're all set.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So everyone said, no, I don't want it. And so I went, well, okay, I'll do it for one more year. But one more year went into half a dozen years.
Okay, so you're taking yourself out of the running for chair.
I was told to kind of.
Okay. Matt, anything you want to do?
I don't know what it entails.
Well,
Chair is organizing the meetings. Vice chair is filling in from the chair for the chair if they can't make it, or
Who does it? Or do you do it now?
I am doing chair and clerk right now, which honestly is fine if nobody else wants to do it. But if somebody wanted to do something, go for it.
I guess I don't really feel like I know enough, honestly.
well,
But I wouldn't know where to go with it.
What do you think?
I'll say something about it. Maybe we're on camera, but right now we're still in this little limbo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't totally been resolved, at least in my mind, between the two committees.
Oh, well, we're going to get to that in a minute.
So maybe we're talking out of turn now.
Yeah, no, we're not in limbo. Not as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, for now, why don't we stay with me, clerk? You want to do vice chair? You want to do vice chair or you want to do vice chair? One of you pick.
I would like to see Matt do it. Just
Okay.
it'd be a little learning exercise.
Okay.
All right, I'll be chair and clerk and officially, and
It's not much physical work.
and Matt will be co-chair. No, it's really like a right now it's, hey, Elizabeth, aren't we supposed to have a meeting?
Like today?
Hey, did you send in the agenda? Stuff like that. By the way, thank you all for coming at 5:30. It's
good time.
greatly appreciated because I'm being a little spoiled brat princess, but I'm going to Aquasit tonight. So, All right, so we did that. Now, I'm gonna flip, agenda topics and start with the housing production plan meeting. Because I think that's what, Art was talking about, that, oh, maybe things are up in the air. Because, at one point, somebody at the meeting said, I guess wasn't the town planner, I think it was the woman who
Yeah, it
who
was,
wrote it, it wasn't Laura, it was,
but the author of the,
yeah,
housing-
not, so it wasn't Laura Schufeld, I think
No,
it
no,
was the
that's
other
fine. It
woman.
was- I'll think of it in a minute.
And anyway, they had the, meeting and brought everyone together, and honestly, there wasn't that much new information. They're explaining how the housing production plan was going, how they were working on it. But, I don't know if you've looked at it recently, I still think it's got a lot of problems. And then also, the woman who was running the production plan said, and it looks like we probably want to combine the housing committee and the Affordable Housing Trust. And I was not the only one that you heard rumbles in the room going, no, we're not doing that.
Those are basically the same words.
Because that was the problem for so long, I think, in Harwich, was everybody was focused on the Affordable Housing Trust and nothing else was getting done. So I plan on fighting for this committee, because, for example, while we were off this summer, one of the motels in Harwich went up for auction. And that's what we should be doing in Harwich. If there's a motel or hotel that goes up for auction, we should at least bid on it, whether it's the trust or the town. That's how so many of the other towns are building up their housing stock. When a hotel goes, they take it, it costs much less to renovate than it does build from the beginning. And so many of these towns are having huge success with this. And when I sent an email to the town administrator and the Affordable Housing Trust and the board, and Brianna, I got, oh, that's something to think about. So we missed it. Now apparently they took it off the market because now it's going to be more expensive. But the fact of the matter is, I think things like that are getting lost because it's just the Affordable Housing Trust. And they seem to, I think Larry's really gotten that into shape from where it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But it still seems like they're one big project at a time and no other issues that aren't capital A. So I plan on fighting for this committee. What are your thoughts?
It makes sense. Affordable housing being separated from what the original, when I was coming on, seemed like the mission was. I don't know what the right words are for it, but attainable versus affordable.
That's exactly the right.
So we're fighting for the next bracket.
That's exactly the right. Much better way to put it than my rambling. Man.
No, you said good points there because attainable and affordable is so different right now. And when I was looking over the housing plan too, and just seeing the data that was used, and it's just, you can't even use it right now because the data is years old and stuff has changed so much in the past year or the past few years that it just doesn't, none of it's accurate. That was just the big thing, being in the business, seeing, it's like, this doesn't make sense. So, but we need to really, like you were saying, just fight for people to actually be able to get housing without, how do I want to say it? So, the Affordable Housing Trust, what is, just because I don't really know, what's the main mission of? So would they be someone to come in and use their funds to buy, say, a property?
Yes, if they wanted to and had the money, but the Affordable Housing Trust is 30 to 80% AMI.
Yeah,
If there's some CPC money in the project, then some of the units can go up to 100% AMI.
because right now, the 80%, I mean, when you do the numbers out, it just doesn't make sense. When
Right,
think
you
about it,
can't-
You can't do it.
Exactly.
And that's where we're at with affordable versus attainable.
I'm not being fancy anymore. It's too hot. No, that's exactly the problem. And the housing bill, which I'm still slogging through, that passed. There are some things that allow it to go up slightly. You know, if you average 60, you can have more units, but still, it's not cost effective to build only capital A affordable. And so, you
And
know,
that's the problem, right? We're seeing with
Right.
the Marceline land, I mean, it's ready to go, but it just doesn't, with the certain requirements right now, it wouldn't make sense for anybody
Yeah.
to go in and do it numbers wise.
well, they got, let's do this. Art, do you have anything to say on the housing production plan?
Yes, you know, it basically mirrored the one that was produced half a dozen years ago. And the only thing, there was a few new things in there, but basically, if you want to say, did it say something new? Well, yeah, the numbers were different. But, and it's just looking at the inflation, we know the numbers, next year at this time, the numbers are going to be changed again. And, you know, and on and on and on. So we get hung up on the numbers. The numbers are just constantly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the need keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, you know, and I know it's a requirement and it's something you have to do. But outside of that, you know, the state will say, well, where's your housing production plan? What does that say? Well, it says, well, we should be building 30 plus units a year. And everyone's focusing on the 10%. But the 10% is only 10%. And no one's going to stop at 10%. If we meet 10% affordable housing units in Harwich, you think we're going to stop there?
Yeah.
Because there's more than 10% of the population that needs housing, affordable housing. You know, there's always going to be a bigger number than what you have.
Yeah.
And the state set that up there, so to make it basically an attainable goal, which is, okay, that's attainable. So you gotta put that aside. And, but I saw a lot of things that were wrong with it. The author had done the other one before. This time, there was a couple things that came up from the floor that the author had a clue that was going on in town.
It was,
Didn't know about the John Kerry project, the 10 units down in West Harwich in the former schoolhouse. Of course, only 3 are going to be affordable, but the rest are going to be attainable. You know, and the dollars right now between affordable and attainable are like fly spit. I mean, you know, it's not a big delta between the two. So, but that project's in the works, and that should have been mentioned. And there was other things.
yeah. They seemed, I was very disappointed in, I felt like me, like Art and I, grammar counts, that Art and I and Richard Waystack and the 2 women from CDP, and people from HEC and HAC.
Right. That should be, right.
Basically, it was us explaining things to everybody else in the room. Because the author of the production plan would say, and then this. and people say, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, actually, that's not what it means, or you do this. So I think we're going to have to do, I think if we can, I reached out to the planner to see if she could come to this meeting, but I never heard back. But I'm hoping we can get someone
Yeah.
in to explain things, because, you know, I feel like we all agreed that, you know, one of our biggest missions is communicating to the town what's going on, what things mean. And the housing production plan is not going to help anyone understand anything.
So two things I'd like to throw in there. Well, mainly one. Elizabeth just alluded to the fact that there was a motel up for on the market. I don't know where that is. Is that-
Wishing Well, it's somewhere. The Wishing Well?
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
one.
can picture
West
this.
Harwich.
Oh, West Harwich, yeah, I can
Well,
picture
okay,
the
well,
sign.
I knew about that one. So that whole subject there should be a discussion, not only with us and with the trust and with the town advocate and the board. Is there any kind of appetite to go that way at all? And to be on the lookout for properties like that potentially
Right.
could be converted to housing. You know, now if you hear no, we're spinning our wheels. But if you hear at least one yes or two yeses in the crowd, then you say, well, then it's worth keeping that subject open on the table, and keeping your eyes and ears open, and maybe doing some, you know, little scratching the surface and some of these properties around. Ask the question: you know, is this going to come on the market, or you already have a buyer for it, or are you just going to tear it down and then you're going to build a golf course on it, or something? I don't know, whatever. But
That's part of communication, I think.
yeah,
If we
that's-
explain to
so
people.
we have to communicate with the rest of the group. When I say the group, the rest of housing, the people are going to say yes or no on this whole thing. And you know, if the trust is against it because they have the money, they're the ones getting the money. We don't get money. We have ideas.
But we will have ways to get money. I mean, not for the committee, but
Yeah.
with our help, we can set up another kind of fund for attainable
Right.
housing.
Who's going to have the authority to make a purchase?
No.
I believe it'll be the town unless I think there's two ways to do it. You can either have the town set it up, although we probably wouldn't want to do that until we have a treasurer or accountant. Or you can set it up like the Affordable Housing Trust with a board of directors.
I'm just thinking if it takes all that, then why we're going to go after something when we don't have the ability to make an offer?
Well,
Because then you get the trust.
the reason you would go after
Or
it is
the town.
because, let's say that the town would say, oh, this would be a potential idea. Potentially, there would be a nod on it, you know, an affirmative. Depends on what it was.
It
So,
would have to
in
be
other words,
established,
they'd be
right?
open to at least be open to the conversation. So then, well, someone's got to bring it to them, because the board isn't going to go out and look.
That's what I'm saying. Shouldn't we be having that conversation with the powers that be that would have the authority before we go hunting for properties?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
So you can open
It's
a door
just-
with this.
We explain it to them that this is what we could be doing if we had this set up.
So who does that need to be brought to?
Well, the select board.
The trust first and then the select board.
Town administrator.
I think that the trust is getting it because of, so wait, all right, so now we're going to move to the next topic that I did, which is
Okay.
affordable housing trust discussion. So they had John Kerry in. I don't know if you two know who he is. He's the young developer who is rehabbing the West Harwich school. I guess it was a schoolhouse. And he renovated that building, and he's doing a building in the back, and all told, there's going to be 3 affordable units, capital A affordable, but because there are going to be 3, all 10 of the apartments will count on the shy list because of the formulas of the state that make it impossible to figure
I know
things
it's
out.
hard to comprehend. This is something the state has done recently. When I say
Right.
recently, probably in the last couple plus years, to kind of motivate the towns. You're going to say, okay, if you have a project that you're going to build 10 units, well, and if you make 3 of those units affordable,
Yeah, I know how it works.
the other 70 will be counted on your affordable list,
Yeah.
even though they're not affordable.
Well, why are we making this big jump over to that discussion now when thought we were trying to figure out what,
Well,
I don't know what we were
I
trying to figure
think
out.
the reason I jumped over to that is because he is a perfect example of the whole hotel
Yeah.
property and all. Because it's not just hotels. It's, if you look at other towns and the successes they're having, it's a lot of retrofitting, rehabbing. You know, turning the Cape Cod Bank headquarters into apartments.
Yeah, but how are we
so-
going to do that?
Well, that's what we need to talk about. You know, the Affordable Housing Trust is going to help John Kerry with.
But I thought we
with
wanted to
this,
stay
but we-
independent of the affordable trust.
We do, and so that's why I think, so what we want to do is make people understand how great it is to fix something up instead of buying property, because then, buy an existing structure and fix it up because it costs less. It's not putting up a McMansion where it doesn't belong. And that the Affordable Housing Trust can't really do, because in some of those cases, it might just be attainable, not capital A affordable. So that's why I feel like that might be our job, to keep an eye out for things and to try to educate
Yeah.
people.
I just don't see how we're getting there by just keeping an eye out.
Well, what do you think? Tell me what.
What's the process, right? So if there's something affordable, okay, we find something. You use the wishing well as an example. So how do we turn that into attainable housing? We don't have the authority to purchase.
No, but we can go to the town and ask them to purchase it and give them the sort of a budget and cost effectiveness, and, by looking at,
So that's what
at other
See,
towns.
right now, did anyone, when you say the town, ask the question? Here's a defunct motel on the market, or potentially coming on the market. Is this something that we want to get involved in and, purchase this and to turn it into housing? Just the term housing, whether it goes affordable, attainable, don't know yet.
Yeah, no word in front of it. Just plain old housing.
Right, just
Just-
housing, and
So
so,
the town said, no, we don't want to do that. Or they might
'cause
say, yeah, that's another way to get to the end goal.
they don't know anything about it. So that's what, I'm not saying next week we go out and buy property. I'm saying that.
I'm just
if
trying to figure
we
out what's
can-
the process.
I think my view of the process, and then everybody else go, is that we would do the research on how it's working in other towns. Arlene's Cape Cod 5, which is being done by Penrose, which is who the Affordable Housing Trust picked for the Marshline property. You use examples like that to show them, like the Governor Prince property, which is Orleans or Brewster? That's still Orleans,
That's
right?
Orleans.
I believe the town bought that, not the
The town.
trust. And then they're going to look at what to do with it. Because if the town buys a property, like the trust bought the Marceline property. So that has to be used for capital A affordable, unless they want to sell it.
Right.
If the town buys a property like that, you can do all sorts of things with it. You can put up, companies on the bottom and apartments on top. You can put in a
I get
playground.
the
that sort
ideology
stuff,
of it, but
right?
the actual process still, I think is what we're lacking.
I think the process would be to do the homework, see what the other towns are doing, figure out what the process is, so that if an opportunity like that comes up, we can go to the powers that be and say, well, if you want to do that, this is how you do it.
Has the
Is
town
that-
ever bought any property before?
Yes.
So shouldn't we already kind of have something existing?
We're on camera. There were complications with how they bought the land. Most of the land they bought before there was a trust. So then there were things about, do we transfer that land to the trust, or are they gonna sell it? So,
Is the town
I
interested
think-
in buying land even if we do all this research into what Orleans is doing? And then what?
We really don't know.
I
We
don't
go to the
know.
town
I
administrator,
don't
we
know,
go to the
but
select board, who
We
we go
gotta try
to?
something, because anything that comes up, they just go, no. I mean, this whole traffic study for the Hack property in Dennis,
Should we be having a conversation with the select board to find out what they want to do?
I think we should,
If
but
we should.
I would like to have some more information on various topics besides this. The zoning changes we could do, and what other towns are doing, and the new things that are available to us because of the housing bill, and then, hopefully we'll have a meeting with them. I'm thinking like November, before budget season starts. That's usually when they like to get, isn't that end of the year when they usually like to get the committee reports?
Yeah, but let me inject one other thing and then I'll sit back. So, how much of a communication do we have with our town advocate?
It's a good
Is that
idea.
ongoing, or
It should be.
what's happening there?
Yeah. I mean,
Could we reach out and just,
yeah, I mean,
instead of going and having a big meeting, just,
right, I think, we could certainly, I'm sure Brianna has a list. Like, I don't know if I gave you guys
So what is she looking at?
this list, because we want to know what they're looking at.
If you're already
and,
looking at it, then no sense in duplicating. That's another thing. You don't want to
Right.
come up with the same idea and someone else has got it.
Right, but this is just, I think now that the trust has, here they are. All right, pass that to Matt.
So she had
For
a,
you.
so,
And here for you. So this is just, like, the trust has put out the RFP. They got 3 responses. They have now chosen Penrose to do the Marceline property. So that's gonna be, their big push right now, and they're listening to, and they're helping John Kerry. Hopefully that'll be at the next meeting. And then I think they're gonna be interested in Pine Oaks, and in seeing who else comes to them for help, whether it's through, having them help them with CPC funding or whatever. So they're gonna do their capital A stuff, and any way we can help them when they ask for it, I'm all for it. And then I think what we need to start doing is figuring out everything else that's going on. Like you're doing that, you're working on the website with Brianna, right? Or did that fall apart?
And the last time we talked was they were trying to see if they could use money to have someone set it up. Because the whole thing needs to be set up, and so they have a package for the domain and everything. So somebody has to set up that website. That was the last we talked
So
about.
you go to hire somebody.
Yeah, they have to.
So what
'Cause
kind of
we-
monies are we talking about?
I like for my personal work, it was like $1,200 startup fee, and then you pay after that just for the domain. So basically, you have somebody build this whole website for you, and then if you want to make changes after.
So you gotta educate me. I'm not in tune to this.
So you go to a website and you buy a domain, so like harwichhousing.com.
Okay.
And then you'll have somebody on the back end who knows how to build a website. They build you the website, just a generic thing, and you give them a few things to put in there, and it's all set up. And then from there, you can basically touch it up yourself
But you need someone to touch it up.
to
No.
start.
No, yeah, to start. Nobody,
Yes.
we don't need anybody to touch it up. We can handle the touch-ups.
Right.
It's
Once,
just the
once
start.
it's created, we need someone to create it. And
So,
then,
so far, I've only heard $1,200. I haven't heard 12 million or anything.
no.
We're talking. not a lot of
Right,
money here.
which you would think, I mean, I would think Brianna would have enough money in the Housing Advocates Fund, but if not, the
I don't-
Affordable
I don't know
Housing
if they
Trust
have.
could do, I think could do it. So that's where it's been left now. So we're trying to find a host for the website.
No, trying to see if we can use the funds.
Oh, okay.
Right?
To build it.
Yeah, to build it.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good, so
So-
it's
moving.
moving.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
And
That's a
it
good
was decided not to use the town website.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that was a definite. All right, because once we get that up and running, I think that's going to help a lot.
I basically think it should mirror Wellfleet's, honestly. I think theirs is the best. It's really all you need, just a place for everybody to go and look what's going on.
Exactly.
I don't think we have to overthink it or try to reinvent the wheel, just
No,
say
okay.
here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that was wonderful. So, I mean, tell me what, we've sort of gotten into all that. Tell me what you think we should be focusing on right now.
Something I kind of wanted to, I don't know where you'd even go to do it, bring it in front of the select board or something at town hall, is really work on the zoning in town and what people are allowed to do, with their properties, because a big thing is here, you're not allowed to do, it's really tough restrictions with ADUs, secondary dwellings, septics, all of that. I know you have to comply with regulations, but at the same time, it should be easier for homeowners here. Say you have an acre lot, kids are trying to find a place to live, can't find a place to live. The cheaper alternative is one of those tiny homes, 600
Right.
square foot, like a pre-built that goes on a slab. And I just think it's too, I've seen it, not trying to do a project like that, but just trying to get a septic system right near a piece of the conservation. You have to jump through hoops and hoops to just try to fix your own septic system.
Exactly.
And so if it was more accessible for homeowners and like encouraging for them to do it, you'd see more people trying to do it rather than trying to illegally finish their basement or a shed, or you see that all the time. Every house.
Thought that bill that just passed gave ADU and
Yeah.
tiny houses by right.
It
But
does.
I think the bigger problem, kind of what you're saying, is just
Because then it comes down to septic.
septic or
Being on
other
the Cape.
setbacks.
Yeah, because being on the Cape, you're, okay, what are you doing with the septic for that?
Right.
And I just feel like we need to have a compromise, because at the end of the day, it's a supply issue. The demand is there. Really, you're only going to get more housing with more supply.
Absolutely.
So you have to find a way to make everybody happy and get more supply, whether it be town buying property and redoing it, like the Bank Street firehouses are a great example, something like that, turning that, or just a mix of everything. Having like a team ready if we need somebody really at the town to have a team ready if there's a property that pops up, or a tax incentive for homeowners or like estates that people inherit, a tax incentive to sell it to the town rather than selling it on the market. Because people, you can't take away capitalism, and people aren't going to just say,
Right.
here, we're going to take a couple 100,000 less just because.
See, that goes back to deed restrictions that I've been trying to work with people on for years.
So,
That the town would
Like, I don't even know.
pay you,
Yeah.
I will pay you $200,000 today. Do with it whatever you want to do. But you put a deed restriction on your house that it can only be a year round, only be used year round, and that is in perpetuity. You know, like you can put a deed restriction for vernal pools or whatever. So you do that, so that will give you the 200,000 because you're not going to sell your house for as much as you would have without a deed restriction. But a lot of people don't care. They're not leaving it to their kids. You know, so they'd take the money now, fix it up the way they want to live in it, and then when they sell it,
I think it sounds good for now, but then I think
that's what
deed,
Vail is
deed
doing.
restrictions last 99 years, 30 years when you have a whole town of deed restricted homes and nobody has a place to rent. We're still a vacation town. And you start
I don't
if you
think-
start lowering people's
Vail
home values
did that.
of your neighbors, and then you have people who just took out a mortgage. Now they're upside down because their home value went down. I just think it's a slippery slope that needs to be. It's complex.
Vail has been doing it, and it's worked very well, but
Well, it works.
It
It works
doesn't
well.
work.
What in the short term? We don't know the long term effects of it.
I can't imagine that everyone would sign up for that. I mean, the town wouldn't have the money.
There, they can
You know.
also build a lot easier too. So,
No,
like-
they don't build, that's the problem.
Well, I mean, in Vale,
Yeah, they can't build anymore. That's
don't
why
have
they
any.
started this. Vale is even worse than we are. They're in a valley. They have nowhere else
no
to
other
go.
land.
Nowhere else to go. You know, and you know, it's like the Cape. 86% of our land is developed or protected. We really don't have that much place to build.
I'm interested, is there a stat that shows how much has been acquired for protection over the last 10 years?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I guess it's public record, you could kind of see that new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
in
who
fact, I
would.
think that figure was in the
present it to
newspaper a week or
us.
two ago on this last chunk of land that the conservation people are getting. Michael Lacken is.
Oh, that's right. They want a new.
Yeah.
I think they're like a 30
Yeah, I
acres or
bet
so.
the Harwich Conservation Trust
I think they're up to like 1,500 acres.
Yeah.
knows.
I think that's the term. I used that one time in one of my so-called speeches, and that was all the affordable housing in town is basically on, I forget the number I had, but it was less than 100 acres. And the conservation had 1,500 acres. And my argument was, let's get this in balance. We're out of balance here, folks.
Well,
You know,
It-
I'm not saying we're going to start taking conservation land away from conservation people, and that's there. But going forward, we should have some sort of partnership. You know, there are times when you can carve off part of conservation land, everyone walks away happy. Conservation people got something, housing people got something, you know.
I do sometimes look at places that have the Harwich Conservation Trust sign and think, could we trade that for, you know, more in Bell's Neck or whatever this new one is that they want? Maybe. I think that's way
Yeah,
down the road. We have to get
particularly
used
land
to.
that's on, like, I live on Route 39.
Right.
Route 39. There's a couple signs up and down there, conservation land. Well, you're right on 39. You got water and electricity going down the street. You don't have to bring water in, you don't have to build a new road. It's right there, boom, with a driveway, or maybe a short driveway. But, you know, there's a lot of back land, but, you know, Habitat gets this now and then as a gift. But, you know, it's like the last figure I heard, it's astronomical to put a road in. You know, like a couple $100 a foot. A foot.
Yeah, I mean,
And someone gives you an acre, half a mile in, it costs you a couple $1 million before you even put a foundation in, a couple affordable houses. So there are ways to do things, And I went by a house today over on 28. And you can't really see it, it's all grown up around. And I saw a truck backing in there and I said, I bet you that house is going to the landfill, or to the transfer station.
yeah. But hopefully I just saw a house. This was in Brewster, but, somebody bought a cute little house and gutted it and, redoing the whole outside, put in a 2-car garage. And the 2-car garage, big roof, but no windows. So they're not turning that. I'm like, you're building a new 2-car garage and you're not going to put living space on top of it. So anyway, we have a tendency to ramble.
We got Matt here
so-
in the real estate business, and I would think he'd be a good advocate. I'm beyond assuming. I know he is. The program, the buy-down program, where houses, they're a little bit disrepaired or in some state of disrepair, Not to the point where you can't salvage them, but they've been in disrepair. The people that have been living in there, and the older you get, and your finances peter out, you don't start putting new roofs on a house. You don't put a septic system in. You say, well, I'm just going to ride it out. And then it goes into an estate or something like that. And, I imagine you probably see properties, not every day, but occasionally, town could buy them, rehab them, and use them put them in a buy-down program.
Well, buy down isn't that when, I confused. I thought buy down was when you gave people help with their
Well,
rent to buy down.
that's one
the
definition,
mortgage.
but there is, you can call it that, but if the house needs a lot of repair or remodeling and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to sell it to anybody. So you probably have to bring it up to some standard. But that house would go into a buy-down program, so you would cap it. Because you bought the property, hopefully at a reasonable price. And you see this, I can see this, I see it all the time. Whatever size house, take small, medium, or large,
Right.
they're in disrepair, and the for sale sign goes up, boom, for sale sign comes down, the house gets all cleaned up. 6 months later, they come through there like, a firestorm, put a couple $100,000 into it, not a king's ransom, and then put it on the market as a rental. So now, a person that could afford the house missed on that, and then they're also missing because now it's going to be rental, because that's where, on Cape Cod, that's where the money is, rentals. There's just, for small houses, there's no money in small houses to sell. But renting them, you can get some pretty good rents and for your investment.
Something else to
But
think
anyways.
about. So
Those are different things.
I'm thinking for our steps now. I mean, we are sort of in limbo because we're waiting for the website, right? But once the website's up, boom, then we're going to need content every week, if not every other day or something, right? So, I mean, to my way of thinking, if you look at this list of, I gave you one, of things to look at, to do research on, then we'll be prepared when the website's up and running to have something in there. And then we'll be prepared to help people, if they say, well, what about this? We can say, oh, well, we did research on how that would happen, and that would be this. I mean, that's my thought. Matt, you go.
Yeah, I think getting, obviously the website, it's out of our really hands until we can get the approval on getting it built and everything on there. And then I personally think getting a list ready to present to the select board on stuff that we personally think should change in town, and just see where we can go from there, because really we have to, the ball has to get pushed from somebody, so why not just, like you said, research a couple things that we want to talk to them about and go in there with stuff on paper and just let them hear what we have to say.
I think that's great. Art?
That,
I don't think we should do
I'm
anything
sorry,
more.
Art.
I don't think we need to do anything more than that.
Anthony?
I don't think there's a need to do anything more than that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're just sitting here to talk
Right.
and we're not doing anything.
Exactly, and I hate that sitting around talking, makes me crazy. So, do people want to take like one topic for now? And, or
I think-
split a topic? I mean,
I think we should get some feedback from the select board. I mean, maybe have our liaison come and give some kind of feedback to us. I mean, we could all sit here and spitball ideas and it could all be a waste.
yeah, you're right.
okay.
I know, like the whole idea to purchase a place, have the town purchase it. What's the feasibility of that? Is it something they're interested in? Does the select board have the power? Why go down that road? So, and I don't know, like changing zoning, be it what it is, whatever it is, get some kind of feedback, see if we can have our liaison come to the next meeting and talk to us about our target areas.
Okay. I think that's good. And you want to work on anything? I mean, like I said, I'm trying to go through the new housing bill. I'm also trying to go through certain zoning things, zoning laws that were changed in other towns. Like Nantucket pretty much got rid of short-term rentals because they, other than like a person who owns like, 2 homes and you always rent the second one for a while during the summer, right? That's how the Capes always work. People have always rented their own property. But for any short-term rental that's owned by a company, corporation, they can't do it anymore because you're not allowed to have a commercial enterprise in a residential neighborhood. And that made the people in Nantucket much more willing to work on housing in other places. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to feel like you have to give, if you give the NIMBYs this little bit, then they'll be like, sure, we could do that, I feel like one of the big problems in Harwich, the reason everyone's so averse to any kind of housing is because of all the big, McMansions that have been put up in the past 3 years. And so everybody's like, we have to stop building. And, try to get them to understand, would that we could stop private development. We can't. But we could do this. And that way, the affordable and attainable housing wouldn't be so, invasive to what you believe the Cape life is and what it should be. I keep trying to point out to people the Patel family, what they did renovating this street. When they put 6 apartments in, and it looks better than ever.
Which one's that one?
All the apartments above the, Goldenrod. All the apartments they put, right here over the market and the liquor store and the tobacco shop and all that. People don't even know they're there. Nobody's complaining about traffic for that.
No, there's a good chance to get a speaker in here. We'd like to educate ourselves. They call it the second story program. Oh, that was pointed out in the Harwich production plan, the housing production plan, and that goes back before my predecessor came up with the idea. Jerry Loftus came up with it.
Yeah. So if we can, keep our eyes out for things like that, that'll help and, get us ready to start putting content into the website, and then, we'll try to get some guidance from Brianna and Julie, which maybe they could, I'll send them an email, and maybe they'll respond.
Yeah, Julie was all set to come to our last meeting, which we didn't have.
Yeah, I never heard from Julie or Chris. I heard from Larry and Brianna, and they're both away.
Okay.
So I think that sounds good. I mean, that's what people want to do, is get some guidelines from them,
Yeah, I think we gotta
Oh,
bring
for
our,
sure.
bring our focus in.
figure
Yeah.
out what we should be focusing
Yeah,
on.
One of the, I'm rattling on here, but one of the things that was supposedly going to be one of our fortes is communication.
Right, and that's what,
Okay, now
so we can start.
we had this forum, or whatever you want to call it, for the Harwich production plan. I didn't hear my phone ringing, I didn't hear anyone come and say, Art, geez, can you join us and give a little speech? You'd like to give up and speak? So, I'd like to talk. Maybe half the time you don't know what the hell you're talking about, but at least you'd like to talk. and talk about housing and help us sell the idea of the housing production plan. No one was trying to sell the idea of the housing production plan.
Well, they don't
What
seem
happened?
to, last I heard, it was gonna be done by the end of the summer, but I'm not sure where they stand with that either. I think they might decide to have some more public meetings, because I don't think the last one went as well as they wanted it to. I think they got a lot of pushback from that meeting. So, we can't, there are things we can do, and there are things we can't worry about because we have no control over the housing production plan right now. We have no control over it, except to make comment, to keep abreast of it, see if they're updating it, see if they're changing it, see if they say something about it that we could say, actually, that's a great idea, or that's not how things work. Because that we can't control. So all we can control is, doing homework on, right now we know we're going to want to know information on zoning and ADUs, and they're working on the website. So as soon as, so I just think, to my way of thinking, we've got the housing bill, the new zoning regs, and ADUs is always a topic. Do you remember when we had Talitha come from the CDP to talk about alternative septic? Actually, she came to talk about ADUs for CDP, but she mentioned that
Yeah.
there's this group working on alternative systems. That actually seems to be getting some traction. Not around here, but on the, Falmouth, that area. Is Falmouth still upper, or is it just on its own Falmouth? I don't know. But whatever, so they really seem to be doing some work on that. And I know, last week at the assembly meeting, we were supposed to have Brian come from Mass Tech to talk about things that they're working on, so maybe I'll have more information on that at our next meeting. Because, anything that's going on with that helps ADUs. But, does anybody have any other action items or things they want to suggest we do while we're, and so for the next meeting, hopefully we'll be hearing from like Brianna and Julie in some sort of direction. We can report anything we all know that happened.
Do you have a weekly meeting with Brianna, or how's that going? That was going for a while, wasn't it?
It was for a while, and then it's summer, she has kids. You know, I mean, I tend to give her slack. It's summer, she has kids. I mean, you know, there's no, she seems very busy with her children, and I'm sure between the Marceline property and other issues, you know, in the town, that I'm sure she doesn't always have time to just sit down and chat with me. But we have some email exchanges, one of which is about, for our next meeting, the committee charge that's on the town website is completely not correct.
The new one didn't get posted,
No.
or what do you want to call it, right?
No, never got posted. So, and I don't know, were you guys here for when we finalized the committee charge, or was that still with the old, no?
Not on the
So-
committee,
No,
but
that was
So
with the other
I'm
one.
gonna send you guys, copies of what was decided, how it was decided,
Right,
and get
what-
your
what the final-
feedback, because if it doesn't seem to be, you know, I'd like your feedback then on what we ended up with, because you might have better ideas now that it's, how was that, almost a year ago, right? Or it was like, yeah,
You-
almost
I
a
know
year
what you
ago in
wanna
the
say.
fall.
You're afraid to say
I
it.
know you know what I want to say, but we're being recorded. So I will send you copies of the committee charge. I will correct the minutes so that the dates on the agenda for the minutes, so we can we'll have like 6 minutes to vote on. And then I also, the thing we need to do at the next meeting is discuss who wants the housing committee as a place on the CPC. Community Preservation Committee, so I want everyone to, I mean, Art knows what it is.
I've already
But
talked to her.
if you guys,
Is
is
that open?
Yep, we have an open seat, so I want everyone to know, because nobody's filling it right now. It was Joe McFarland, and we never officially filled it. So, Housing Authority, we have the seat. That's what you're thinking. Marcy from the Housing Authority is on the CPC, but the Housing Committee gets a seat on the Community Preservation Committee. So study up on that and how much they meet and how much work it takes. And then everyone can come in at the next meeting and tell us if you're interested.
When's the next meeting?
I'm hoping the next
Oh,
meeting,
don't say it. I know. Oh, I won't be here.
um,
No, I will.
the 24th, Tuesday, September 24th.
I'll be off Cape, as they say.
I can't make that one either, probably.
Oh, all right. I'm happy to,
I will be off until 1st of October.
how
October
about
3rd.
the 17th? Just the third Tuesday. I mean, nobody seems, it's not like we have the teeming hordes of townspeople who would be really distressed if we changed it from the 4th Tuesday to the 3rd Tuesday. So, we're it for
okay,
now,
so-
guys.
so that'll be the
So if
17th?
if you all want to pick a day that works for everybody, doesn't even have to be a Tuesday if you don't want it to be. I mean, Tuesday the 17th. Does that work for you, Matt?
Yeah, it should.
Anthony?
Sure.
All right, next meeting, Tuesday, September
What time?
17th. What's better is earlier like this better,
This is a good
5:30?
time, I think. I
Or,
don't know.
Is that better for everyone?
Makes
All
no
right.
difference to me, but.
Yeah, okay, then we'll keep it at 5:30. You know, because hopefully then that's before Brianna has to feed kids and Julie's out of work by then, so. All right, so is there anything else? I did talk a lot today, so is there anything else anybody wants to bring up and discuss and talk about in the future or anything? No, no. All right. Well, thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you for coming in on a summer Tuesday. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Oh, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys a lot.
Because,
Thank you.